All right, everybody, we are back. More defensive ends here. Welcome to the afternoon of this Thursday. And we're going to start off with Marcus Harris of Auburn, the Auburn Tigers, one of a couple of fairly interesting defensive linemen for the Auburn Tigers this year. Don't know his age. 6'2, 286 pounds, so a little bit on the smaller side as far as this positional group has gone, which is a little bit of a red flag right off the bat. But let's continue on. 32-inch arms, 9 and 5/8-inch hands. Testing was kind of mediocre. The 40-yard dash was okay. The 10-yard split was below average. Everything's just kind of like meh. It's all a little bit below average to average, I guess. So the testing's whatever, which is disappointing because he's undersized. You'd want him better than that. CBS, fourth round, PFF, fifth or sixth. The mock draft database is more around the sixth or seventh, so the smaller big boards drag him down a little bit. But overall, probably still a draftable prospect. Fairly productive the last 2 years, and unlike most of the guys we're talking about in these videos, actually was a more productive player in 2023 than 2022. I know, right? It's like that shouldn't be that hard, but it happened. Over the last 2 years, 70 tackles, 17 and a half for loss, 9 sacks, seven this last year. So actually became a genuine threat as a pass rusher. Really good PFF grade last year, too. Big upgrade over the previous year, 82.4. So they like what he's doing. He's got good quickness and agility on a football field. I know it didn't show up with the testing, but he does make a lot of plays in the backfield because he's got quickness and the agility to do it. And then he tests like this, so I don't really know what to make of that. But you watch him on tape, you see him doing a lot of things like shooting gaps and getting around slower offensive linemen. He's got a nice punch that he uses to disengage from blockers. His punches are powerful. Leverage is something that he understands. He understands how to win leverage. He gets underneath the pads of blockers and wins. He uses his hands well when he's fighting through traffic as well, kind of always using his hands to search for an opportunity to get through and make a play. He is a little bit short in the arm length department, which hurts his shed game and hurts his ability to get off blockers. His testing numbers, one possible interpretation is that his quickness and agility will not show up at the NFL level because it looked better than it should against collegiate opposition. So it's possible that that element of his game, the gap shooting and backfield playmaking, won't translate, which would be really bad. And he's undersized, so you're not really going to be using him to hold the point of attack. Bigger linemen are going to eat him up and spit him out. So I don't know if it's a good fit, even if he was a better player. Mike McDonald prefers the slightly bigger guys in the trenches, it feels like to me, based on what happened at Baltimore. So Marcus Harris probably meant to be an undersized three tech in an even front, so he doesn't have to worry about taking on so many blockers. An even front will allow him to take on single teams more often. I do kind of like what I see here. I like him in a vacuum. I'll put it that way. In a vacuum, I think he's a nice little player. In Seattle, I don't know if it's going to work right now, but I do like the fact that he brings some run stuffing ability and some pass rushing ability, which is kind of rare when you get down into this part of the draft. So I could see it working potentially. I'm not going to go crazy with it, but I think he's a little bit more intriguing than a lot of these big boards say. Fifth rounder feels appropriate. I like him a little bit more than the aggregate, at least, although not as much as CBS, granted. So that would be Marcus Harris of Auburn. Now we are doing Myles Murphy, not the Myles Murphy from last year that went to the Bengals. This is another Myles Murphy, North Carolina, Tar Heel. Couldn't find his age. He's a bigger guy, 6'4, 309 pounds, almost 34-inch arms, so pretty nice long arms, 9 3/4-inch hands. The testing was tough. He was slow. He didn't accelerate quickly, not very explosive. Change of direction skills are blessed, so he's not a great athlete. PFF and CBS both have him getting drafted around the fifth or sixth round. The mock draft database has him undrafted, not by much, but undrafted. So again, he's got draftable qualities, but it could go either way for him. It's pretty close. It's pretty tight. The production over the last 2 years has been kind of okay. Over 50 tackles and 6 tackles for loss and 2 sacks over the last 2 years. PFF grade took a nice uptick to 2023, 68. It works. It's fair. The things about Myles Murphy that are nice, he's got a bull rush that is strong and able to collapse the pocket. So if he's bull rushing, he's actually able to impact the opposing quarterback. He's got powerful handwork. He uses his hands with power. He's got a lot of punch. So that makes life hard for linemen. He hits with a lot of impact and can win some reps right at the start just by landing his nice punch. He sheds through blockers well. He does use his decent arm length pretty well. And he just kind of looks like the kind of NFL lineman that you probably want, right? At 6'4", 309 pounds, he's got the size, he's got the mass, he's got the length, he's got the girth. He's got all that stuff on a physical level, right? So you look at Myles Murphy and you go, that should be pretty intriguing, but other than the bull rush, he doesn't really offer anything as a pass rusher, so he's probably a rundown defender only. So that chops his value significantly because in the modern NFL, everything's about the pass. Great linemen are laterally agile, and he doesn't have it. His testing numbers kind of point to that. Can't really move laterally. He's got leverage problems. He is a little bit taller, and he doesn't know how to compensate for it, so he has leverage issues when he's in the trenches trying to play football. So there are definite problems with Myles Murphy as well. He's at the end of the day probably going to be good against the run, but I can't imagine him ever becoming a great pass rusher, and that's what you need to provide upper level value at the NFL. That's what you need to be truly touted as a prospect. If you're just going to defend against the run, then there are a million of you out there. You're a dime a dozen. So I'll say sixth round because I like the fact that he's a little bit bigger and he's got the long arms. But if it weren't for that, I'd say seventh round. These guys are just everywhere. You find guys like this all the time that play like this. It's just the size that is a little bit interesting and unique. Okay, one more guy for this video. Jaden Crumedy. Crumedy. That's a very interesting last name. Mississippi State Bulldog. 24 years old, so on the older side, as a lot of the players that are when we get down to this part of the draft. Decent size, 6'4", 301 pounds. Arms are okay, 33 inches. 10.5-inch hands. That's bigger than most of the hands we see on the defensive line here. So that's got to work in his favor on some level. Testing was decent. He ran a good 40, sub 5 seconds. Real good acceleration, okay explosiveness. Change of direction was passable. And ESPN has rewarded him with a low fourth round grade, actually. They think he should go early day 3. Now, CBS has him in the 7th, PFF has him undrafted, and the database has him in the 7th. So they're not exactly forming a consensus here. But there is some stuff here that is kind of fun, kind of unique. And I don't want to dismiss it. He didn't play for like Pepperdine or something. He didn't play for Troy. He played for Mississippi State. This performance is real. So over the last 2 years, his production has been all right. Took a nice little upgrade last year. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is he missed most of 2022. 2021 was his big year before 2022. He missed a lot of time. So 2023 is his one big year. 35 tackles, 3.5 for loss, 2.5 sacks, decent PFF grade. So nothing over the top, earth shattering, but pretty good. He's got a lot of power in his punches. He's another one of these guys that really knows how to land his punch on offensive linemen to just knock them back and take over the rep right from the start. And he's a very good block shedder as well. So he uses his hands great. He's got great hands. Makes a play on the ball very quickly after shedding the blocker as well. He's got a legitimate bull rush. He's able to collapse the pocket just by pushing his man back. So the strength is there. He's got a lot of the trench skills that you look for. He understands and knows how to utilize leverage when he's in the trenches as well. He understands how to get low, even though he's a taller guy. I think that he'll be a good fit in an even front or an odd front, which, as we go into this first year with this new Mike Macdonald defense, it's good to be versatile. But I think he can play in a 3-4 because he has the size and strength for it. And even if he gets a double team thrown at him, he's holding up against it. You can double team him and he'll hold up. So Jaden Crumedy, very interesting stuff here, I think. But I think sometimes he plays a little overly aggressive, puts him out of position sometimes. He still isn't going to offer you that much as a pass rusher. He's mostly a run defender that can bull rush a little bit. That bull rush helps, but it's a small piece of the puzzle. He's good at shedding blockers, but he does need to learn how to stack them a little bit better, how to keep them off of him completely. and he's slow off the snap. He's one of those guys who will typically be like the last man out of his stance. So he doesn't explode off the snap the way you would like. So there are issues, but some of it is fixable and some of it is something that I can overlook. But I find this intriguing. He'll probably be an early down defender, and he's probably not going to be of that much use on passing plays. But I think he'll be good in that role because he's so strong and he holds the point of attack so well. So I actually found myself liking Jaden a lot, and I'd say fifth round. I can't go fourth round because I don't think he'll ever be a great pass rusher. Probably just a bull rusher, and that's it. But I do think that he might be able to offer enough on run defense because of his strength and his shedding game and his power to be worth that fifth round pick to me. So that's what I got for this video. Jaden Crumedy, kind of like him, kind of intrigued by him. I can't go fourth round, but I'm not far off of it. All right, let me know what you guys think down below of this crew. See you guys later. We're going to do one more video of defensive ends, and we're going to chug along to the next position tomorrow. See you guys later today.